Like and subscribe, and let's do this.
This is Earth. You live here on this planet somewhere, and everything that you've ever known is located right here. But just how small exactly is Earth when compared to the scale of the entire universe?
Pretty
Let's
small, I
start by
guess.
zooming out to where we can see our nearest cosmic neighbor, the Moon. You may think that the Moon is very close to Earth since it dominates our night skies, but in reality the Moon isn't this close to our planet, it's actually about this far away. 384,400 kilometers away from you.
Oh my god. I didn't think it was this far. Like, I knew I was far, but not this far. 384,400 kilometers away. Jesus Christ. How did you ever get to, like, land people on the moon? Jesus.
Right now, on average, you could fit 30 entire Earths in between this distance, and if you somehow were able to drive a car at a constant 100 kilometers per hour speed, it would take you about 160 days to drive the entire distance.
160 days to drive like at 100 kilometers per hour. 160 days to get to the moon. That's like half a year of non-stop travel. But the scale of the universe is actually insane.
Despite this incredible distance, however, 12 humans have actually set foot here, representing the furthest away that any individual human has ever been away from the Earth, and one of
America.
humanity's greatest achievements. This is what the Earth would look like from there if you were standing there with them, and if you wanted to communicate with.
Can somebody tell me, are all the people who have been on the moon from America? Like, are there other people from other countries who have been on the moon, or it's just strictly Americans? Put that in the comments.
Somebody back at home, it would take a message about 2.5 seconds to travel between you and them, since that's how fast the speed of light can travel at.
That's
This
not
is a photo
bad.
that was taken on Mars, and that tiny dot that you see there is Earth as seen from the Martian surface. On average, Mars is an incredible 225 million kilometers away from Earth, but that distance can be as high as 401 million kilometers. That means that whenever humanity finally gets around to landing a human on the planet,
How are we ever going to get people on Mars? We struggle to put people on the moon, like, and we're already talking about putting people on Mars. Like, mm, aren't we being a little bit too big-headed, I guess?
that person will be 986 times further away from Earth than the astronauts who landed on the moon were. In addition, the time delay for sending a message from Mars back to Earth isn't just 2.5 seconds, it's actually more like 20 minutes each direction, which would render instant communication in the event of an emergency impossible.
That's
When we zoom
bad.
out even further away, we can find the Voyager 1 space probe, which is the furthest away man-made object from Earth. It is currently located 138 AUs from the Earth.
Can somebody tell me when Voyager 1 was sent out, like the year?
AU meaning astronomical unit, which is the distance between the Earth and the Sun, which means that
Yeah.
Voyager 1 is 138 times further away from us than the Sun is.
That's
At some
fine.
point on its long voyage, Voyager 1 turned its camera around and took this photograph. It may not look like much at first, but in my opinion, this is the greatest single photograph ever
It
taken in
looks like
all of
art.
human history. This tiny, pale blue dot is Earth, and I don't think that anybody has ever said something as amazing about this as Carl Sagan when he said, "If you look at it, you see a dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever lived out their lives. The aggregate of all our joys and sufferings. Thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every
Basically, everything human beings have achieved, everything has been on this planet, I guess, which is insane to think about. Man,
Every hunter and every forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilizations, every king and every peasant, every young couple in love, every hopeful child, every mother and every father, every inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there, on a mote of dust suspended
That's
in a
crazy.
sunbeam. Voyager 1 is currently traveling at 17 kilometers every single second, but even at that speed, it won't break out of the reach of our
17 kilometers per second. Like, wouldn't that burn it? Can somebody tell me if that would burn it? Or do they have like heat shields for that? Because I think it would burn it.
solar system for another 30,000 years. Once we go beyond the solar system, we
I won't
arrive
be
in our
here to see
interstellar
that.
neighborhood. Here we shift to the light year unit of measurement, which is the distance that light travels in a full Earth year, or about 9.461 trillion kilometers. The star Proxima Centauri
I wonder if we ever get to these parts of space. 9.461 trillion kilometers. My God.
Centauri here is the closest other star to us other than our sun, but it's still 4.24 light years away from us.
Yeah, we've
To
never
put that
seen
into
that.
perspective, if it was heading in the right direction, it would still take Voyager 1 over 70,000 years to reach it. In other words, if you drove your car at 100 kilometers an hour like in our previous example to the moon, it would take over 6 times longer than the entire age of the universe is just to finally get there, and it wouldn't even exist still when you arrived. When we zoom
It wouldn't exist when you arrive. Would it die before you get there, or what does he mean? I'm guessing he means it wouldn't exist, like it would have died by the time you get there. It wouldn't be there.
out even further, we can see the entire Milky Way galaxy,
The Milky
inside of which
Way.
Earth is located right here. This yellow dot is the furthest extent of humanity's radio broadcasts throughout history, which means that any possible aliens who live outside of this range are totally
trippy.
unaware of humanity's presence. It's complete silence outside of this yellow dot as far as we are currently aware, but the entire galaxy spans over 100,000 light years from end to end. There are over 100 billion stars and over
I don't think we're even ever going to leave our own galaxy. Well, in the near future. At least in the next 50,000 years. I don't think we're going to be out of our own galaxy. If that's how big it is.
100 billion planets inside of our galaxy. But you have never seen the full glory of the galaxy at night, because 99% of the stars that you can see with the naked eye are limited to this small, tiny region right here. But even this massive galaxy is nothing compared to the rest of what's out there. Zooming out even further and we arrive at the local group
Whoa.
of galaxies, a collection of 54 different galaxies that is about 10 million light years across. But zooming out even further and we can see the Virgo supercluster,
slow
of which
down.
the local group
So there's the local group.
10 million light years across. But zooming out even further and we can see the Virgo supercluster, of which the local group here is just a tiny segment of. There are at least 100 other groups of galaxies just like our own local group inside of here, and the distance
That's why I believe there's life out there, except for like human beings. Because look at this. You can't possibly tell me that we are the only life out there. Like,
from one side to the other is a mind-numbing 110 million light years. But even the massive Virgo supercluster is nothing but a quiet and tiny lobe of the Great Laniakea supercluster, an enormous structure that is home
this looks like dust. How are we able to like see this? What kind of equipment like do we use to see this? Because this is crazy.
Home to our galaxy as well as 100,000 other galaxies. The distance from one side to the other is 520 million light years, but from even there we can zoom out all the way to the entire observable universe and see that even the titanic Laniakea supercluster is just a tiny and insignificant part of everything. This is the observable universe, and it contains everything that we
You know, if I was given one wish, I'd wish to see everything before I die. Like to live long, to be able to see all this.
know of. It is home to at least 2 trillion different and individual galaxies, which together contain more stars than there are grains of sand on the entire Earth. The distance from Earth to any side of the observable universe is 46.5 billion light years, which means that the entire width is 93 billion light years across. What's perhaps even more interesting, however, is what actually lies beyond the
Yes,
observable
I was just about to
universe.
say
Keep
this.
in mind that the observable universe is all that we can currently see, and it's entirely possible that the rest of the universe outside of it is vastly larger and more fantastic than we can possibly ever imagine. We simply don't know what else is out there because the light from these incredibly distant places has not yet had enough time in the universe's history to reach us yet back on Earth. And the light from some
But when that light, if that light was able to reach us, I wonder what we would be able to see. Like,
places may never reach us at all. Because some parts of space very far away from Earth are expanding away from us faster than the speed of light, that means that the light from these places will never, in an infinite amount of time, reach Earth. Meaning that even if humanity is eternal and exists forever, there will still be an unknown number of places in the universe that we will never
oh, there goes my dream, I guess. Because I said I wanted to see everything. Turns out I can't.
know about or ever see. So, it is very likely that as unbelievably enormous as it seems, the observable universe is just a tiny slice of what we can currently see of the
Yep.
entire universe. According to the theory of cosmic inflation that was proposed by Dr. Alan Guth, if it is assumed that cosmic inflation began at 10 to the negative 37th of a second after the Big Bang, and with the assumption that the size of the universe before inflation began was equal to its age times the speed of light, then this would seem to suggest that at the present day, the entire universe is 150 sextillion times larger than the observable universe.
Oh my
That
god.
number for reference looks like this, with this many zeros.
Put that in my bank account. Put that in my bank account.
Let this number sink in for just a moment.
That's a
This would
lot
be
of
similar to
zeros.
you thinking that the entire observable universe, everything that you could see, was the size of a light bulb, but then realizing that in reality the entire universe is larger than the former planet of Pluto. Imagine a light bulb in the center of Pluto, but we inside the light bulb were totally unaware that Pluto existed outside of it, and that's a similar situation to this. We are all so unbelievably small, but you shouldn't worry, because all that means is that there is so much left out there for us to discover
Yes.
together.
Well, that's all, guys. I guess that's the end of the video.